Hello again, and happy Mother's Day from Fox News in Washington. Well, Donald Trump had barely put away the competition this week and become the almost certain Republican nominee when a new fight broke out within the GOP. Some top Republicans said they won't vote for Trump, and House Speaker Paul Ryan held off on endorsing him. Joining me now is Donald Trump's senior advisor, Paul Manafort. Paul, let's start with Paul Ryan's comments this week that he's not ready, as he put it, to endorse Trump, and that it's basically on your candidate to go to unify the party. Here is Paul Ryan.
I think there's work that needs to be done in order to unify the party. I think our nominee, our presumptive nominee, needs to do that. I want to be a part of helping him do that. But right now, no. I think that, there's some work to do here.
How seriously does Trump take this split within the party, and how far is he willing to go when he meets with Paul Ryan later this week to try to repair the split?
Well, I think you need to put things into context here. A week ago, you had Republican leaders in Washington, some anyhow, saying that there was going to be a contested convention. And last Tuesday night in Indiana, a state that Trump was supposed to lose, he had an overwhelming victory, and the race ended. It ended much sooner than anybody expected, except maybe the people supporting Donald Trump, who knew he was onto something. So Washington was in a little bit of a uncertain phase, and still is, but it's a healing process. It's a healing process that will happen over time. And frankly, the media's expectations that the day after the Indiana primary and everybody got out of the race, everything was going to come together in one moment, it was unrealistic. Trump understands this. What's important to him is that he unifies the party, that he unifies the voters, and that he then unifies the Republican Party. Remember, he ran as an outsider. He ran as somebody who was representing the people's interests, who were frustrated with the gridlock in Washington. He wasn't a candidate of the leaders. And so to expect everything to come together the day after the primary process ended, it was a bit unrealistic. But frankly, I'm very pleased to say that it's happening even faster than we thought. I mean, many of the candidates who ran against him, and there were 16, are now moving in behind him, endorsing his candidacy, expressing support for it. Party leadership in the Congress, and as well as members of Congress, is coming together. The governors are coming together. So, Paul, I mean, the process is happening faster than we thought.
Paul, does he think it's important that the party be unified going forward?
Well, he thinks it's important that the country be unified and that his appeal be presented in such a way that his message is clear. But of course, he's the head of the Republican Party. He wants the party to get behind him and support him. There's never been a candidate for a nominee for President of the United States who had every Republican supporting him and everybody accepting every single position of the presidential candidate. Ronald Reagan had the same issues when he was trying to put the party together in 1980. So it's a process. It'll be fine. We've got plenty of time now. There will be no contested convention. We have plenty of time to put the party together, and I think you're going to see a successful united party in Cleveland, and they'll be ready to take on Hillary Clinton.
But, Paul, there are real differences between Trump and Ryan. Ryan is said to be offended by some of the things that your candidate has said about women and Muslims and Hispanics. There are substantive differences on issues like trade and entitlement reform. How far is Trump willing to go to sign on to the agenda of Paul Ryan?
Well, let's make something very clear. Donald Trump just won a Republican primary. He won it overwhelmingly. The largest turnout in the history of Republican voters in all of the primaries, and he's the historic leader now of getting votes as a Republican nominee. So it's his agenda that has just been cemented as what the American people, or at least Republicans and independents who voted for him, want. There'll be a process. There'll be meetings of minds. There's a lot that unites the leadership in the Congress as well as Donald Trump. But the important thing to remember is the national titular head of the party is the nominee of the Republican Party. He just won that overwhelmingly, faster than anybody in Washington thought, and running as an outsider against Washington. So his agenda is the people's agenda. He made it very clear. His vision was clear. He articulated it very well. Right. There's no doubts of where he stands.
All right. I want to turn to another subject. Trump had said that he was not going to go after Hillary Clinton and her personal life unless she went after him, that in effect, as he likes to say, he would counterpunch. But then yesterday, out in Washington State, he went off on Clinton about the way she treated the women that Bill Clinton had had an affair with. Let's put it up.
She's married to a man who was the worst abuser of women in the history of politics. Hillary was an enabler, and she treated these women horribly. Just remember this. And some of those women were destroyed not by him, but by the way that Hillary Clinton treated them after everything went down.
First of all, what specifically did Hillary Clinton do to those women?
Look, this is a clear case. Donald Trump has made it very clear. He's not going to allow hypocrisy on the women's issue. He's not going to let Hillary make the case that he is against women and she's this defender of women's rights. His business empire is he has put many women in leadership positions, gender, race.
Respectfully, that's not what I asked you. I asked you, what did Hillary Clinton do to those women? He says she destroyed their lives. How?
I'll let him speak to it. The point is that the history is clear. She's been an enabler in the past. I'll let him speak to those issues. But the point is, he made it very clear he was not going to let hypocrisy exist on a women's issue. He is not anti-women. He's very pro-women. He's proven it in his business life, and proven it more so than her, because he's proven it with actions, not words. And so for her to go after him on being anti-women, he's going to go back and talk about some of the things that she did that are less consistent as far as being pro-women.
Trump also this week got into a nasty Twitter war with Democratic Senator Elizabeth Warren. Now, to be fair, she started it. Here's one of her tweets. Donald Trump has built his campaign on racism, sexism, and xenophobia. But Trump fired back, I hope corrupt Hillary Clinton chooses goofy Elizabeth Warren as her running mate. I will defeat them both. I guess the question is, Paul, if you're trying to win over women, and you do have a problem with women according to the polls, do you really want to take on a fight with two of them, Clinton and Warren?
He's taking on a fight with two politicians who are using political terms and being hypocrites about it. That's what he's taking a fight on. As far as the women's issue is concerned, that's exactly the point he's making. He's not going to allow the Hillary Clinton or Elizabeth Warren to hide behind their sex to make cases that are just hypocritical.
And how is Elizabeth Warren being hypocritical? She wasn't involved in the Clinton affairs.
The statements that she was making there were totally out of bounds, and he gave it back to her. If she can't take it, that's her problem.
During the primaries, Trump made a big deal of the fact that he was self-funding his campaign, and also he said that other candidates, almost all of the other candidates who did take money from big donors, he said were puppets. Here he is.
One of the things we're doing, and one of the things I'm doing, is I'm self-funding my campaign, so I can't be bought.
But now, he announced this week that he won't be completely self-funding, that he is going to be raising some money. So does that mean that he can be bought?
We're talking now about the general election. He made the case very clear that he wanted to be the nominee of the Republican Party with no question as to whose interest he was defending. He was defending the people's interest, and they rallied behind that message. And he self-funded his campaign to the tune of millions of dollars. Now we're entering into a general election where he's the head of a party, and we'll be electing not just the president, but we'll be electing senators, congressmen, governors, local council people. It's a united effort, and the Democrats have said they're going to be spending hundreds of millions of dollars to try and spread lies about Donald Trump and the Republican Party. Trump has said we're not going to compete against them. He will support the party and the party's efforts to raise money. He won't allow the distorted process, which he doesn't agree with, but to be used against other Republicans as well as him.
But just to make it clear, because he named his own, not Republican, but Trump finance chair, a fellow named Steve Mnuchin, some of that money that's going to be raised, that's going to go to Trump, not to the party, correct?
It's going to go to the presidential campaign of Trump being at the head of the ticket of the party. That is correct. I mean, the point is that Donald Trump is committed to not letting Hillary Clinton get elected president, to not letting Nancy Pelosi become Speaker of the House, and to not letting Harry Reid and the liberal Democrats be in control of a Senate that will allow them to appoint maybe 4 justices to the Supreme Court and to continue with trade policies that are destroying jobs in America. And so he is not going to, he said, as head of the party, he has a responsibility now, not just to himself, but to the party, to make sure that these disastrous policies of the Democrats never get a chance to be implemented.
But just to be clear, because he's still going to be taking money from big donors, so in that sense, forget whether, I mean, he didn't say, well, I'm not going to be bought in the primaries, but I will be bought in the general election. Why is it that he won't be bought if he's taking that money?
The one you need to look at being bought is look at Hillary Clinton, who's been taking money all along, who's giving secret speeches at Goldman Sachs and other places. That's what you need to be talking about being bought. Donald Trump has proven in the primary process he put his money where his mouth is. He was elected or nominated to be the Republican nominee by the people based on a self-funded campaign. And his interests now are united only with the Republican Party against the liberal agenda of the Democratic Party.
A pro-Clinton super PAC is already running web videos that are contrasting Trump's campaign promises with his actual business practices. Here's a clip.
Washington is broken. The truth is, I'm doing damn well in life, but if you're going to achieve anything, you have to take action. Until now, you could only enjoy steaks of this quality in one of my resorts. That's going to change quickly. We'll cut taxes for the middle class, negotiate new trade deals. We're going to teach you business. We're going to teach you life.
Now, that group, Priorities USA, has reserved $90 million in TV time between now and the general election to run a series of ads, not web videos, but ads on television. And it's pretty clear, I think you'd agree, Paul, that they're going to go after Trump the same way that the Democrats and Obama went after Mitt Romney in 2012, which is to say he got rich while exploiting the little guy. And the question I have is, when they go after Trump's bankruptcies and Trump University, how is Trump going to handle that?
Look, Donald Trump's businesses employ hundreds of thousands of people that you call the little people. I
call him the little guy. I mean, I don't know.
The little guy. I mean, the point is, you know, he's got a record of creating jobs for people, of helping people rise up in business. And this campaign will talk about those things. Yes, the Democrats will try to distort his record. We know that. That's precisely the reason why the Republicans have got to come together, be well-funded, to deal with the hypocrisy, to deal with the lies, and to deal with the distortions.
Paul, thank you. Thanks for taking the time today. We very much appreciate it.